Hello, and welcome to I Watch This As an Adult, the podcast where I review movies from my childhood from an adult perspective. And this week, I'll be reviewing 1993's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3.
Hey there, I'm Jim.
And I'm Matt.
I'm Dusty.
From Dad's Doing Nerd Shit.
A podcast on the Fandom Limb Media Network.
We talk about all kinds of nerdy stuff.
From Dungeons & Dragons to the MCU.
From video games to semi-current space news.
And anything else that catches our attention.
New episodes go live every Monday morning on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We can also be found on Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter.
So roll the dice and join us as we discuss the things we love and the culture around being a nerd.
Hi everybody, and welcome to episode 113 of I Watch This As an Adult Movie Reviews. I'm your host, Mikkel Ford. Today we're going to be talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 from 1993. This is in correlation or in honor of the release of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. There's a new video game out there right now called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. I haven't played it yet, but I've seen people play it. It looks pretty fucking awesome. But so I was just like, hey, why not do the final installment of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie series, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 today. So we got that coming up. But before we do that, let us do things I watched this week. I really got to come up with a theme song for that by this time. I think I'm in need of a theme song. I might hit somebody up for a theme song to do a theme song for things I watched this week, but we can talk about that later. Let's talk about Ms. Marvel. I watched episode 2. Episode 2 was a little bit better than episode 1, not by much. Like the show so far, I don't know where episode 3, by like the end of the episode 3, I don't know if it's gonna start picking up. I mean, by the end of episode 2, I'm sorry. By the end of episode 2, I don't know what's gonna pick up because we got something that might change the course of what happens in the rest of this show. That might be it might be really good, but episode 2 is still pretty slow. You know, we're still dealing with Kamala's high school stuff, and dealing with Kamala's parents, and dealing with their family, and all this stuff. Like I said when I was talking about the first episode, I love how they don't water down the Muslim culture. I love how they don't water it down. I love that they talk about it for what it is. It helps that they have actual Muslims, like working on the show, writing the show, executive producing the show, directing the show. That actually helps so you can actually see the real Muslim culture. Because I'm like, yeah, I was like, there's a scene where like Kamala and her friend are in the mosque, and that's exactly how it is. I was actually, this is a funny thing you probably didn't know about me. I was actually involved in the Muslim culture for about 2.5 years because my mother, after she got divorced from my father, she ended up marrying a Muslim guy, a Muslim man, and we used to go to the mosque like every Friday, and you had to go do the thing, they showed like you had to wash your hands, you gotta wash your feet, you gotta wash your face, and you go sit on the mat, and then you gotta do the head, you put your head on the mat and all this stuff, and yeah, it's pretty much how it is. The one we went to, because like the one they got is like the women are in the back. If I could remember, the one we went to, like the women were in like a separate room all together. Separate room all. They were in a separate room all together. But yeah, it was like it's pretty much what it is. What you saw with the mosque is in Ms. Marvel is that's pretty much what it is. I love that they didn't water that down. I love that they showed the ins and outs of Muslim culture. I gotta commend them on that. I gotta commend Kevin Feige and Disney for letting them do that. You know, I gotta commend them for letting them do that. But I want to see more superhero shit. I love it. I love that they're diving deep into the Muslim culture. That's cool and all, but I want to see more superhero stuff. Alright? The last half of the movie, we finally got to see Kamala do some superhero stuff. She went to go, like, there was this little boy messing around, and he almost fell to his death. I think he was trying to shoot like a TikTok or something, a TikTok video or something like that, and he ended up falling out the window, and he was hanging on to the side of the window, and I think he was hanging on to like a curtain, and the curtain was ripping, and everybody saw him. And then like Kamala went and put on her makeshift costume, and like they're calling her Nightlight. They're calling her. That's the name they gave her, because like there's this guy, he's actually I think he does halal, which is like the little like falafel stuff. He has like a truck, and like everybody's outside, and he's like that, and like the guy's like, look, it's Nightlight. He said, they're calling her Nightlight. That's the superhero name they gave her before Ms. Marvel. They're calling her Nightlight. It's like when they called Spider-Man No Way Home, but not Spider-Man No Way Home. The one before No Way Home. I forgot, Far From Home. Spider-Man Far From Home. When they say, look, it's Night Monkey. Because he had like the black costume on. And they were calling him Night Monkey. That's what they reminded me of. They were like, look. Because they were like, look, it's Night Monkey. And I was like, and so like, it was like, yeah, it's Nightlight. Go save that kid, Nightlight. But anyway. But yeah, that's like the last part. You still had the FBI agents from are they FBI agents? I don't even know if they're FBI agents, but the guys from Spider-Man No Way Home that brought Peter in like the first time. Those guys. You still got those guys. They're like catching on to Kamala. And at the end of the episode, they tried to corner her. They sent like some drones after her, and like she took the drones out, and like I think she's pretty much on the run now, which I love because we finally get away. Because like it's like we could finally get away from the family stuff. The family stuff was cool the first episode. But second episode, I'm trying to get into some superhero stuff. Okay, I'm like, I want to see her do some superhero things. We done with the family dynamic stuff. Let's focus on her being a superhero. I'm like, we're even done with the Muslim culture stuff. I was like, it's cool, I love it. Yeah, Muslim culture, but I want to move on to her just being a goddamn superhero, It's like sometimes Marvel can be overly righteous, at least the MCU. The MCU can be overly righteous. And I'm not one of those go woke, go broke motherfuckers. I'm not one of those guys. Definitely not one of those guys. That would be stupid of me to do that as a black person, So, oh, go woke, go broke, like I'm not that dude. I am not that dude, and I praise Marvel. I praise the MCU for being so multicultural. I praise them. There's black people. There's Middle Eastern people. There's Asian people. There's Hispanic people. Women, gay men, You know, everybody is in the Marvel universe deaf people, because you got Echo. You know, like Echo is here. You know, she's a deaf, like the chick that plays her is a deaf amputee. So that's pretty fucking cool. You know, but there's sometimes they could be a little heavy-handed with the shit. You know, there's sometimes where they could be a little heavy-handed. Especially when they're focusing on characters that are not white. You know, when the characters are white, they can just go and do superhero shit. But like when the characters are a different race, or of a different culture, or of a different gender, or of a different sexual orientation, they gotta focus on that a lot. He's like, see, they're gay. There's a gay superhero. You see this gay superhero? Look at this Asian superhero. We gonna tell you how Asian he is. You know, like, you're like, look at this woman superhero. We gonna tell you how hard it is about being a woman. Woman suffrage. You know, or this black superhero. We gonna tell you how hard it is for this superhero to be black, and how nobody. Because even though I love Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They kind of hammered that shit in. That they was like, hey man, you can't be Captain. They hammered that shit into Sam Wilson, the Falcon. They hammered that shit into him. They was like, hey, you can't be Captain America because you black. They ain't never gonna let a black man be Captain America. And you know, like, they hammered that shit in to the T. But and like it's like they always do that. They always do that with superheroes of color, or superheroes of like women superheroes, and superheroes that have like a disability or the different sexual orientation. They always do that. Like when it's just a straight white man superhero, like when it's like Captain America or Thor or Iron Man or fucking even Ant-Man or some shit like that. When it's like any of those guys, like even Guardians of the Galaxy with like Star-Lord, you know, none of those guys have to deal with that shit. None of those guys have to deal with being an other. None of those guys have to deal, like they don't hammer in like, hey, look how white this guy is. You know, they don't do that shit with them. They're like, hey, they're not like, hey, look how white this guy is. Doctor Strange just gets to do magic shit. He doesn't have to deal with the fact that he's a straight white man. You know, like they don't hammer in the fact that he's a straight white man. You know, like they're just like, hey, it's Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is on a goddamn adventure. You know, they don't do that shit with him. But with every other superhero that's a different race, agenda, or sexual orientation, you know what I'm talking about. Every other superhero that's not a straight white man, they hammer in the fact that they're not a straight white man. You know, and like I said, praise Marvel for it. Praise Marvel for the diversity, but you ain't got to be so heavy-handed about it. You ain't got to be so heavy-handed about it. Like, that person's gender, that person's race, that person's sexual orientation is not what defines them. Let them just be a superhero. You know, just let them be a superhero. It's kind of the thing that I'm kind of worried about with She-Hulk. You know, because, like, what they gonna be like, oh, this is what it's like being a green lady? I don't know what the fuck they gonna do with She-Hulk. You know, I don't know what they gonna do with that. Fucking Black Panther. Black Panther had that problem, too. You know, where it's just like, Africans versus American black people. You know, because Killmonger represented the American black people. And T'Challa represented the African black people. So it was like it was pretty much Africans versus Americans. You know, and the Americans were the bad, and the American was the bad guy. You know, so, and he's just talking about, it's just something that is in our culture. You know, like talking about how Africans don't acknowledge Black Americans. Black Americans, we're not part of the culture. We're not part of their culture. You know, like it's kind of like standoffish, even when like they immigrate here and their children are born here. And it's like, we're not the same, you know? And I guess that was something that